is to really kind of work with folks who have had, a sales presentation and have a good sense of COB Smart, but really to take it a step further, talk about the life cycle and what it means to, to administer to COB Smart. And why that's so important now is we've had two major enhancements in 2020 for data validation and payer-to-payer workflow. So data quality and your ability to speed COB resolution is greatly enhanced. So we wanted to bring that to the table to folks that are evaluating the solution. Okay, any questions about that? Okay. Do we have everyone, JJ? Do you want to move forward, or are we waiting on a few more folks?
I think there was one or two other people that said that they were going to dial in, but let's give them some time. They might be running late. We'll go ahead and get started. And also, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute your phone and or your computer and ask the question during Michelle's presentation, so we can answer them as they come up.
Right, but we do ask you to mute everyone now unless you have a question. So snow blowers or dogs barking, those types of things can be alleviated.
All right, thanks.
Okay, JJ, yeah, okay. So why don't we get started, because a lot of these have seen. So folks on the call, everyone has seen this slide. Again, we are a nonprofit, mission-driven company. We work with these health plans, 13 health plans, 2 trade associations to create, solutions that really standardize data, standardize process, and really improve access, national access to data to really break down the silos and reduce costs. So why don't you just go to the next slide? So what you're really buying into is a data utility. Today, all the folks on the phone that we have evaluating COB Smart are already CAQH clients. You use us today, your organization uses us for provider data, for credentialing, and in a way, it's the same data utility. It is national, it's scalable. Any size organization can go on to COB Smart. It's automated. It's low cost. Again, it's a utility, just like your electric company, everyone gets the same services, everybody pays the same prices. High quality, and again, our enhancements in 2020, we're going to speak to that. It's a shared data model. So, and we're going to speak to that also, because your ability to share this data, this really rich COB data, not only with your enterprise, but with providers, with the other health plan that you share this overlap with, and your vendors. It is really gives you a lot of control over your payment integrity or COB operations. We always offer a portal. In the case of COB Smart, it's not only to access data, but it is to connect to other payers, to speed resolution. And the fact that all of our solutions, and certainly COB Smart, is a long-term data strategy. You're not going to have to replace this data source, and you're not, and it's only going to improve with more folks, plans adopting, and more members on the system. All of our solutions are utilities, and that includes COB Smart. Are there any questions about this, shared data utility? Okay. So that's our model. Next slide. So the idea here was when we started thinking about COB Smart, very, very expensive, cumbersome, costly, redundant processes, really building up unneeded costs, was to get the data in the right place at the right time, and that is certainly around, patient eligibility. So we really felt if we could do this, we could really focus on just cost avoidance and not have to think about so much about recovery. As you guys know, we are a data source. We do not do recovery. You certainly own the data that we send you every week. You can use that, to send to your vendors, and share data with them. We don't have any association with them. We are typically, for most organizations, the top of the payment integrity stack as far as understanding how to pay that claim correctly. Next slide, please. So we collect COB data all across the country from every state and territory and district. Keep going. And then the way we wanted to make sure that the solution was national. That's very important to our payers. And then we want the idea or the premise around COB Smart is to identify individuals with overlapping coverage across multiple health plans. And today that's 45 health plans and 2 states. We have over 180 million members in the database. And then we identify that overlapping coverage, and then we have a built-in primacy engine to determine the order of benefits. And then we actually validate that data for accuracy, and then we give it back to you to share, with appropriate folks in your organization and certainly your providers. That data comes back to you via file and portal. And like I say, we're going to get a lot deeper into these aspects, but this is just the premise of COB Smart: identifying, determining primacy, validating, and then being able to share that data. And again, it comes to you in a file and a portal. Go ahead, JJ. So what's so interesting about COB and why we call it Prospective is that you're getting this data every week, and and it's validated, so you have the ability now to auto load validated medical to medical overlaps right into your system. You get them every week on Monday. We work with you to work with your IT folks to consume this data, upload that to your claims system. You can share with your payment integrity teams, high dollar claims teams, claims processing, enrollment. You have the access or you assign privileges on the portal to anyone you want internally. You're also sharing that overlap on the portal with that other payer. Now you're on the portal, you have a side-by-side view of that overlap. You understand when it was validated. You understand all that other payer's information, and you can now send inquiries to that other payer if you have questions, about the data that they've on there. If you're auto-loading to your claims system, you can empower now your providers with really the best COB data that we can deliver. And so make sure that not only are you paying accurately, but that provider knows how to bill. And then certainly, again, you own this data. You can share that with downstream third parties as you see fit. That includes things like portal access. You can send them the file. It really gives you, again, a lot of control over your not only your systems, but that data and how you're going to use it. Okay, next. So what are we really collecting? So here is the full list of different coverage types that we collect and also lines of business. So today, certainly commercial and commercial group, fully insured ASO is where your biggest business case is. We're collecting commercial Medicaid, Medicare Advantage, individual, exchange individual. Today, it's non-blue FEP. We do have some fee-for-service members. We have 2 states. Again, that is a growth area for us, and that's the state of Washington and the District of Columbia. Medicare Part D, student health, duals, and then behavioral, pharmacy, vision, and dental. Again, not only is this national, this is also very comprehensive as far as what the type of data that we collect every week from health plans. Any questions about that, about any of these coverage types? Okay, JJ, next slide. So high-level overview of our exchange or file exchange process. So we have, again, 45 health plans and 2 states submitting data every week. This is a custom file. It's spec 2.0, 65 fields that you're going to pull from your claim system and send to the COB Smart database every week. We have proprietary matching logic that identifies overlapping coverage, and then we use NAIC rules to determine primacy. And then we take those medical to medical overlaps and send out a 270 inquiry. This is an automated inquiry or transaction that goes out to your claims system, so we understand if that the member that you gave us is active, and we send it out to the other payer to make sure that that member is also active in that other health plan's claim system. So we send this data back to you every week. This comes back to you via file every Monday at 8 a.m. These are always net new COB overlaps for your claims team to work. We also update the file with that, or the portal with that file when it comes in. As we're validating, it should be known, we are updating the portal real time. So again, there is a lag between the file, 1 week at 1 week lag. Portal validation validation is, the portal is updated with validation as we do it. So again, we really would like to have this one stream. All of this valid data comes into you, medical to medical overlaps that have been validated, that are active and have a primacy determination, can be auto-loaded to your system at with very high confidence. And we'll talk a little bit about data quality. Any questions about the process? I know a lot of folks have seen these slides, so I'm going to go through them fairly quickly. Okay, next slide. So again, we get this, you're going to get this file every Monday at 8 a.m. This comes in through an SFTP site. Data is PGP encrypted. That is a requirement for us and a requirement for you as a health plan submitting data into the system. This keeps the data secure, at rest and in transit. And then the portal, as I say, is updated with that file and then updated with as it's been validated. And then you have also access to an account manager, an assigned account manager that will work with you on reports. We also have a dashboard that really delivers, a lot of transparency about the members you have in the system, how many are primary, how many secondary, what's undetermined. All the things that, you have a lot, not only do you have a lot of control, you have a lot of transparency on this. Also, you always have access to a CAQH assigned account manager to work through any issues and make sure that you're optimizing the data. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about the data that you're getting back. Not only are you getting, all of the 65 fields that you submitted, to the COB Smart database, you're getting a subset, which is the second column of the other health plans data. So things that you're going to need to know to understand more about that why there is an overlap, name, ID, date of birth, sequence number, coverage type, subscriber name, that is all in there for you. Again, on the portal and on the file exchange. You're also going to get the primacy determination, what the classification is, understanding the coverage overlap start date, the end date, and then understanding the rule, the NAIC rule that we used to determine that primacy. Now you're also going to get validated fields. So we're going to look at that data that identified that net new overlap every week. We're going to give you a validation status. If we're overall validation, make sure that it's what the status is from validating your claim system, what the other health plan validation status looks like, whether it's active or inactive, determination date that you submitted, and then we do have some data quality logic that I'll get into regarding projected term date, and then the date the validation was performed. Which should be known here, and then what you may see is missing, the other payer term date is auto-populated. So now, where we used to just give you the payer term date that they submitted, on the COB Smart file, now we're validating. If that term date that the other payer submitted is not correct, it will be automatically updated every week, or within, validated during the week, and it'll be auto-populated. And so and if there's a missing term date, we will auto-populate that. So we'll correct it and we'll auto-populate anything that's missing. So again, this is a really comprehensive set of data that we're giving to you and at the highest quality level that we can deliver. Any questions about, high-level looks at that? So, okay, keep going. So let's talk a little bit about validation. And just to be clear, today we validate medical to medical benefit overlaps. This is, like I say, it's a significant improvement in the data that we give you. We validate the medical overlaps with a primacy determination and those where we couldn't determine primacy. These are, again, electronic 270, 271 electronic eligibility inquiries. This replaces your need to manually validate. When we first started COB Smart, we certainly gave you this data. It was up to the plan to do the validation and auto load what they had a high confidence level in there. We have now automated that process. 270, 271s, are sent to that system of record, your claims system. And that's where, certainly where your membership and how claims are paid. The idea around this is that we overcome file latency, folks pulling from a data warehouse rather right from their claim system, and certainly any file errors. And again, we're automatically correcting those term dates and populating missing term dates. We've had started data validation in March of 2020. We started with 4 early adopters, United, Anthem, Aetna, and Humana. So they've given us a lot of data, what they found as far as, what they were, what their accuracy rate was when they were doing their testing. And we feel very confident about now saying that our validated medical to medical overlaps are at a 99% accuracy rate. And again, these are all net new. Any questions here? Okay, next. So next slide. Okay, so we talked, so certainly with what we've seen, and we just went live, with 4 early adopters in March. In this summer, we had it generally available. So most of the folks that are now on, which is about 75% of the COB Smart database, is now using validation. And so what we're seeing is exactly what we wanted to see. We're seeing the determined overlaps go up, and we're seeing the undetermined overlaps go down. We're just getting better data. This is a data loop. You're getting, you're submitting data every week. We're giving validating overlaps for you every week. It's a continual data loop, and the quality of the data on the COB Smart database really gets better every week, if you will. So we're very excited about that. Again, I think this is all net new overlaps that are being validated, not one-offs and things like that, just to be clear. Okay, next slide, please. So just want to shout out, besides data validation, we are continually working on other data quality initiatives. Certainly during implementation, we work with you, and we'll dive into that a little bit deeper, but making sure, your COB Smart file, which you'll build during implementation, is the most important aspect of your program. We do multiple tests for compliance and conformance. We work with you on a weekly basis or twice a week, depending on what you need. We do get you live in 3 months, and then stick with you after go live to make sure you're optimizing the solution. Lots of, certainly when you submit the data, there's data load reports, there's data quality reports, a series of reports to make sure the data that you're submitting is up to snuff. If you don't meet the threshold of quality, we do reject your file. Again, the data you're submitting impacts not only your success, but the other payer's success. So we're very stringent on a lot of our rules to do this. We also have other system logic that you may or may not know about. Certainly continuation of coverage. if you have, there are plans that are, terminating a member on the 31st of December and then, enrolling them on the 1st of January, we have logic to make sure that folks understand that that member's been in this, is continued, to be a member, over the course of time. Group migration logic. If we start seeing United, a certain group start to term, we start to look at that to see if that entire group will move over to another health plan. We can actually move them very quickly. We've got, tools and logic to do that. And then again, a little bit on predictive termination dates. As we're working with data validation, we're looking at getting this data. CAQH is working on its own, intelligence to be able to predict when term dates will happen. And again, this is all part of data quality to make sure that we have triggers and accounting on how this data is passing and the value of that data. Then there's a COB Smart portal, and we're going to go over that fairly quickly, but there's multiple areas of functionality within the portal, specifically overrides, notes. You can upload documents to really create a perfect or the most perfect record available for that member. And again, you can connect to other health plans to build your case why something should be changed or create an override. You can do that. So again, there's that quality that we look to for our plans to keep their data accurate. And then certainly there's account management. If there are irregularities, within your, when you get your dashboard back, you see things like, an increase in undetermined overlaps, or you see things like missing records. There's, again, your account manager will help you iron that out with the support of our product and operations team. And even on the invoices, again, you have a dashboard that gives you tells you all the members you have on the plan broken down by lines of business and how we're billing you. But we also give you a file where you can reconcile that just to be sure, we're all in sync. So there's numerous areas for data quality and certainly to make sure that, you have the power that you need to improve that quality anytime you want and understanding how we're billing you to make sure we're all aligned. Okay, so we talked a lot about data quality, and now we're going to talk about our data community. We always talk about COB Smart as a part of a data community. All of these folks are submitting data into the system. And again, your ability to build a good file and create good data improves the value of the solution, to everyone. So again, we have national plans, we have small union plans. The solution is scalable and brings value to everyone. So that's been really exciting, especially for folks like JJ and I.
Did anyone have any questions?
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the portal. I do really recommend, if you have not seen a portal demo, if you are going to be joining us at the COB Smart Forum next week, there will be a session on it, but your portal has become very important. And I only have one slide because we could talk about the portal forever, but the idea is, you're going to get this data. You're going to see a transaction history filtered as you want to see that member. So you can go back 3 years, you can filter it different ways, but you will see a transaction history of that member on your portal. You're going to see the side-by-side overlap, you and that other health plan. You can certainly do multiple ways to member search, how to do overrides, where group migrations come up. There's actually also a blog on the portal, folks, working on either new NAIC rules and how they're interpreted. Again, we really want to connect you guys. So, again, you can speed resolution. You will create a data relationship with the payers that you see the most overlaps on. If you're not submitting good data, Everyone knows that. And also, again, we actually have had folks in the past work with account managers knowing, that they are impacting other payers negatively. So they'll work with, the account manager and ops to make sure that they're sourcing their data correctly to get back on board. But again, note fields, all payers who are on COB Smart are now obligated to submit contacts. So you'll know who to contact right over the portal. You can replace phone calls. You can send inquiries. We have dashboards for your inquiries, notifications. If you are not getting responses, again, that's where CAQH can step in and try to alleviate some of those concerns. We also, especially in this remote atmosphere, have analytics to track your members and the portal users, how they're working on the system, what data they're doing, how many inquiries they're sending out. It's been a terrific tool, in the ages of COVID. And then for 2021, we're always continually enhancing our solution. So 2021 is going to bring a family view record, which was a big priority by our clients. A single sign-on is also going to happen in 2021. Again, we're always looking to find easier ways for your ad folks to access and use this data. Other validation enhancements include on-demand validation on the portal and retroactive validation. So those aren't, we're not assigning dates to those yet, but again, these are the three priorities in 2021. Any questions there? Okay. JJ, next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the life cycle of COB Smart, because we always talk about the value, the great data, how to use the portal and things like that. But let's, from an operational point of view, there's really 4 stages. So certainly the plan and build is why we're negotiating contracts, and as you know, that in itself is it takes time. But we want you to start thinking today as you're evaluating the solution, what lines of business you want to put on to COB Smart, and also understand, the folks that are going to be building this file, pulling it from your claim system, how you're going to source that data to make sure it's accurate. And not only develop a process to submit this data to the COB Smart, but also working with your COB operations, your payment integrity folks, and IT to be able to consume this data to really optimize it the best way that you can. And implementation, and again, I've got some slides going forward with this, and we're going to talk about roles, how you're going to, certainly we want you to benchmark this data. For our champions that are out there, talking about COB Smart and why they think it's a good solution, we really want you to benchmark your what you're doing today before COB Smart. So we want to prove the value, in your good decision to adopt this, this solution. We've had, plans that have 400,000 members that get a 45 to 1 ROI. We have folks like United that get an 80 to 1 ROI. So it depends on how you're using the system. Then we want to talk about, again, tracking, measuring, looking at those metrics. What's the easiest stuff to track? What's going to make a difference to your organization? And then finally, once you're in production, and what are the things that are going to make a difference in your file? What are those file triggers that you may have to look back at? Any questions about that? Okay. JJ, next slide, please. So let's talk about implementation. Again, this is a medium, low to medium effort, depending on your IT team. Again, we are looking to pull this data right from your system. We want you to think about the number of lines of business, how many reporting entities you're going to have, the number of claims platforms that we're going to have to connect with. Your payment integrity teams, they need to be involved in this, as well as your COB operations teams, because there's claim value and there's administrative value. Your EDI teams, because we are going to be validating this, we're going to have to connect to your claim system to do that. And then we always want to work with your project managers and IT teams, even while we're negotiating contracts, so they understand what's coming and they can give you a good understanding of what it's going to take them to build that file. And certainly the project manager will really understand what the scope is to adopt COB Smart. JJ, next slide, please. So basically what we're really looking at doing is, during implementation is working with you so you can submit this file on our basic workflow. So health plan submission is Sunday through Tuesday. Every week you're doing this. Again, during this time, those X12 inquiries are generated to validate that data. We do try 3 different times to get that information for you. We try to do it during low traffic times to make that happen. And then Thursday is we actually start generating these reports Thursday to Sunday. And then finally, we deliver this data to you, net new overlaps every Monday morning at 8 a.m. via file and portal. So this is how it works 52 times a year. Again, the ability of this national matching to get you the most COB is extremely important. But the idea of getting net new overlaps every week gives you a tremendous opportunity to create a great ROI story around COB Smart. So assigning roles. So typically when we work with implementation, we look at the business leads, which typically for JJ and I are our champions. We will need technical support to get you live. Again, you want to see areas where you can automate this data to alleviate and replace manual processes so they can work on, more detailed work and not something so repetitive. Your analysts are going to be able to be trained on our portal during your 3rd cycle of implementation so they can really understand how they're going to work on this data. Your portal users, and again, you can assign as many portal users that you want. There's no charge, and you could extend that through your enterprise. External vendors, you can assign them specific access points. And then, again, we'll have one point of contact for that portal user to make sure that, portal user, or the COB main person, so we can send contact information, communication, and notifications to them. So that's basically the team that you're going to be working with for implementation, and certainly after go live operations. JJ, next slide, please. So basically what we want to look at is how you're going to manage this file. And again, this is a high-level overview. As you know, all plans are different. And so everybody uses this a little bit different. But so we have this is a very generic 5 steps. But the first thing you're going to do when you get this data back is auto-load validated medical records with a primacy determination and feel very confident that you can now deny or pay claims, with the highest accuracy rate. Step 2 is prioritizing those records with undetermined primacy. Maybe there was a court case, maybe there's a tertiary coverage, understanding what is, and again, you can search for that member, look at their data, connect with the other health plan to make that happen. Then there's step 3. Then there's the COB data that falls outside of COB validation, and so understanding how to process those records and consume those, that optimizes the whole COB process for you. Then also understanding where your records, if a coverage status is inactive, meaning that you don't have you have the as X, but we have found that the coverage date is active, or I'm sorry, it's inactive, but your coverage date or your term date doesn't match that. We would want you to go in. We certainly want you to terminate records, or bad data. You are charged by the number of active records, so it is a great incentive for folks to keep their data clean. And then again, going forward, you're going to start seeing the trends in your data. So if you start seeing things trending the wrong way, your account manager will work with you, talk to you about working with your IT team to look at the root cause around that data source and work to fix it. So that's like a high level view of managing this weekly file. Okay, next slide, please. So let's talk about metrics. And if we have a lot, if health plans do things differently, we certainly know that the metrics, lots of metrics out there. I'm going to call out some of them. So first thing that you'll always have is today, you have your legacy CO processes deliver, X number of, COB rate. Once you're going live on COB Smart with our national matching process, we can guarantee that we will increase your COB rate. You will get a lot more COB when you go live. And in addition, we'll also give you the option of delivering 6 to 18 months of historical data. Again, you can set you actually can set your preference on that, but we give that back to you so you can go after and capture any missed COB opportunities. Again, that is something you can send it to a vendor. And I'm not going to read through all of these metrics, but certainly certain ones pop out. The idea is, you're getting net new COB data 52 times a year. Where we're always interested would be secondary identified through COB Smart. What's your net new secondary COB? What do you know today that you didn't know yesterday? So identifying that is return dollars right on the table in your savings. Difference in vendor costs. Now that you're validating this data and you're uploading it, how much less do you have to work with your vendor for recovery? Always interested in that. All of our clients use vendors on some level, and we encourage that. But again, you now have the data in hand and are able to manage that the way you want. And then understanding your cost avoidance, how you're paying claims today with COB Smart data than you were yesterday, to really understand how what the delta is there. And then some basic, we're collecting now, we're automating collection, we're getting it right from the health plans. So the impact on your member for data gathering, if you're sending letters, you can reduce a lot of that communication. And I guess what should be noted here, which I didn't know, is besides reducing your costs around COB, the biggest benefit is taking your member out of the middle of COB solutions. They don't want to be, in the middle. They don't really understand it. Most folks think they can, coordinate their own benefits, and it is going to lead to, higher adjudication rates, less pens, less denials, and typically much happier members. Any questions about that? Okay, JJ, next slide, please. So when we think about ROI, this is just kind of a holistic enterprise view of your COB operations claims, and so where we see COB touching your operations is certainly from your vendors, certainly your claims processing teams, your recovery, your communication or not, to your members, and certainly your connection to that other insurance carrier. So again, every health plan is different, but these are direct points that we see folks really pulling value from. COB Smart, we do talk about the business case, which we're not going to go into, but folks see claims, administrative, and vendor savings. And that what leads to some of the great ROI numbers that we see. Next slide. So once you're live, and you're getting your file every week, there's certain program evaluation triggers that we just want you to be aware of. And the first box here to the left is our favorite one, and that's new member acquisitions. If you are in an area where you have low market penetration, we bring in another health plan in your service areas. You're going to be able to forecast new savings. So you're going to be able to say new savings. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. So this, I'm sorry, as you bring in new members. I'm sorry, wrong box. Yeah, so you're going to be able to bring in, new members. You're going to have to, you can bring in a new reporting entity. Do note, once you go live with COB Smart, and if you have paid your implementation fee, if you bring in another line of business, we don't charge you that implementation fee. You work with your account manager, you build the file, we'll do the testing for you. We're happy to have those members. There's no additional charge to bring those folks live. Changes to lines of business, you might need some testing around that. And then certainly back-end systems and migrations. Though we don't charge you new implementation fees, we do charge you additional EDI fees if we have to connect to, say, a new claims system, those types of things. So, do note that it's $3,000 per testing path. So we are trying to do this at the lowest cost to you possible, but we have to make sure we can connect and get the validation results that we need. And then certainly we want you to look at, from time to time, look back alignment to make sure that your folks are using the data right and that you are getting the data is sourced correctly. We always look for that. And again, the one other thing on here that I don't see is, again, new members coming into your system. As folks, new members, and adopt the solution, you're going to be able to forecast new savings on those members, which again, it is our mission to have all health plans and states using COB Smart to really build an incredibly, not only an efficient model, but really what we consider a closed network of first pass quality with this continual data loop of identification and validation. Go ahead, JJ. So next steps. I know that some of you folks have registered for the COB Smart Forum next week. If you haven't and would like to, we can certainly send you out that information. This actually is a user forum, and so it does get really into the weeds, regarding COB Smart. That is what really the purpose of this webinar is, to kind of bring you through, some of the operational processes that folks will do, have to work through the COB Smart lifecycle. We have some terrific panels talking about best practices, how they're getting value. Certainly we'll be talking about the roadmap for COB Smart. We'll be talking about adoption. And so if you have not received an invitation, just reach out to us and let us know. We are going to be doing a webinar in March. And we're still TBD. We also want to bring in Nikita, who is our lead for the COB Smart portal, and really give you some real-time scenarios, how your folks will actually be using this data now that it is at their fingertips weekly and validated. It makes a significant difference. And so also client references. Our folks are generally very excited about talking to prospects, because again, they will benefit by bringing you into, the COB Smart data community. Again, more members to match their members to, more COB. And then, like I say, we also look into if you're interested in really doubling down on the business case, we are also looking into that for March 2021, depending on interest. That really talks about, we can deliver back to you in your service area the number of plans, I'd say the top plans that are in your service area, and what percentage of the market is already in COB Smart. That's really important. And also, we can really go through details around the COB Smart calculator to really start calculating, administrative, vendor, and claim savings. That does need, we do need input from you to make sure that our numbers align with your, with what, how you see your claims operation and those fees and costs and what that will bring. Any questions for anyone? Okay, JJ, just the last slide, I think. So here's our contact information. Like I say, I know we've had a lot of contact with the folks on the phone today. We continue to bring the COB Smart mission, to all plans, and look forward to having you guys at the COB Smart Forum. And again, if there's something that we haven't done to build your business case, get you familiar with the system, understand what the operational cost would or effort is, to administer to COB Smart, and where the value is, please give us a call because we're happy to bring that to the table.
Michelle, this is Heather from Select Health, and
Hi.
thank you for presenting this to us again. Any questions that we do have, probably the best to have some of those answers would be the forum.
Yeah,
do you think?
What would be great is if you have any specific questions, we can submit them to our COB Smart Forum team, if you will, and give that to the panel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Heather, if you could send us those questions early, we can then maybe find some payers that can respond to those questions ahead of time. And so during the forum, we can bring up those questions during the Q&A session. And I think Michelle will probably be, or I will be sending out the agenda for the user forum next week, so you guys know which sessions would be most beneficial for you to attend.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, terrific.
But we may have one. Oh, Amanda, did you have any questions from Select Health?
I think we can just wait and put them together and then find out what forums to attend would be best.
Okay.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. We really appreciate that. Any other questions, JJ, or anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Okay.
And by tomorrow, we'll be sending out the agenda for next week's user forum, so you guys can, and we'll recommend which sessions might be of most interest to you. I think we've got some panel presentations with some of our current customers, and any questions you guys have, we'd love to get them early so we can distribute them to the panels and make sure that those questions are responded to during the user forum next week.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We'll put 10 minutes back on your calendar. Really appreciate you guys engaging and certainly your interest in CAQH solutions.
Thank you, JJ and Michelle.
You bet.
All right,
Thank
cheers.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye now.